And the crowded race for governor has one more new candidate, and it was announced live in front of an audience.
So I came here tonight, Jimmy, to tell you and your audience that I'm running to be the next governor of California.
Yep, Eric Swalwell joins a growing list of Democratic candidates for California governor, including billionaire environmental activist Tom Steyer, who announced his run for office just earlier this week. And the most recent poll from Berkeley has Republican Chad Bianco in the lead with 13% support, with Porter dropping to 11%, which is just 3% more than the next highest ranking Democrat, Javier Becerra. We'll have to see how Swalwell and Steyer's entry into the race changes some of this polling. Now, ABC 10's Becca Habecker joined a virtual news conference with Congressman Swalwell in the last couple of hours and joins us now live in studio. Becca, what's the latest?
Well, Swalwell says he believes California's governor has two main jobs: making a better state for everyone by focusing on housing and jobs, and protecting the state from the Trump administration. Well, I spoke with a Republican and Democratic strategist about their reaction to Swalwell's news and how the race is shaping up.
I'm a collaborator. That is my default.
California Congressman Eric Swalwell held a virtual news conference Friday afternoon, less than 24 hours after announcing his candidacy for governor on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Our state, this great state, needs a fighter and a protector, someone who will bring prices down, lift wages up.
Well, he's certainly taking the position of moving kind of hard left in terms of his messaging. So that's where he sees his lane as a candidate. In kind of the Democratic field at this point.
Republican strategist Tim Rosales says Swalwell is younger, fresh-faced, and charismatic.
All of those things, I think, make him a unique candidate compared to the rest of the field at this point on the Democratic side. The question is that going to be attractive to Democratic base voters?
I'm wondering how you see your role in this crowded field of Democrats.
Yeah, I don't see myself as hard left. I see myself as hard aspirational for this great state where, again, we with pride say we are the fourth largest economy in the world. But most people are asking, what does that mean if I can't afford to live here?
Swalwell has also been a staunch critic of President Trump for years. Earlier this month, a Trump administration official referred Swalwell to the Justice Department over allegations of mortgage fraud, which Swalwell denies, calling it a political attack.
I don't wake up to fight Donald Trump. I wake up to fight for Californians.
He says he'll defend California against any attacks by the administration.
Where our state is under attack, where immigrants are being chased by ICE agents and troops are in the streets and cancer research funding is being taken, I will be a fighter and protector for our immigrant community, but also recognize that we can't count on the federal government to fund the priorities of our state.
He says he'd leverage his international relationships to entice other countries to do business with California. With a crowded field of candidates that could see more names added, Democratic strategist Mike Trujillo says he thinks voters next year will have more high-profile choices than they've had in nearly 3 decades.
The last time Democrats in California have had a real choice was 1998. That's when we had Jane Harmon, Congresswoman Harmon. We had Al Checky, the businessman. We had Lieutenant Governor Gray Davis. All three were spending real money. All three had real operations. They ended up running against our Attorney General, Dan Lundgren, who was the Republican.
Now, Swalwell and Steyer, by the way, both ran for president in 2020. Today, Republican candidate for governor Chad Bianco said, in part, quote, Eric Swalwell was a total failure when he ran for president. Californians need a governor who has the credibility and integrity to save our state from the Newsom years, and that is not Swalwell. Alex?
All right, Becca, thank you so much. And to continue this conversation, I want to go ahead and bring in a very familiar face, Mr. Steve Swat. Thank you for joining us on this Friday.
My pleasure.
A few questions here with this announcement. You know, if more candidates do not drop out of this race, what implications do you think this might have for the overall, flooded field of candidates that we're seeing in this race in general?
Well, first of all, there may be more candidates who do get into the race on the Democratic side. Right now, you have 8 prominent Democrats in that race. And there is I'm not going to say it's likely, but it's possible you have a doomsday scenario for the Democrats. Let us say all 8 stay in or even 10 get in. You have 10.3 million Democratic voters out there, or potential voters. Let's say those 8 or 10 split the vote, and then you only have 2 Republicans and 5.8 million Republicans out there. They've split the vote. You conceivably could have 2 Republicans finish 1 and 2. and it's the top two primaries, so those two would go on to the general election. And that would cause, obviously, a great deal of angst.
Well, that kind of leads me into my next question is, given the large field of candidates, what do you think that, Democrats really need to be doing to prioritize their strategy in the party moving forward so they don't lose this seat?
Well, I think for the time being, they let things go and see where things stand, in a month or two. But if you get closer to the election and it's a wide open race and you have all these candidates that are vying for votes and there's no one clear leader, I think the party power brokers, Governor Newsom, Nancy Pelosi, and some others, have to tell some of those candidates who are lower down on the totem pole or don't have enough money to run a real viable campaign to get out so that you don't have this huge Democratic field.
Yeah, and something you alluded to just a moment ago, do you think that more people are going to end up jumping into this race?
Well, I know more people are thinking about it. Rick Caruso, who's that developer down in Southern California, says he either will run for governor or for Los Angeles mayor again. And he could self-finance a campaign to a great extent because he's very wealthy. And then you have Rob Bonta, who's the Attorney General, who took himself out of the race a few months ago and is now considering, we believe, to perhaps get back in.
Something we'll keep following. Steve Smock, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.